a lot of people are wondering what the excitement behind Genesis is. Yesterday on stream, Bobek on Showdown Smash announced that Genesis 3 was happening. A lot of people responded very positively. They recounted their stories of Genesis 1 and 2. And for people that are new to the scene, whether they came after the documentary or didn't start quite as early as 2011 when Genesis 2 happened, they're probably left in the dark because, the nationals that they associate their fun times with are like the EVOs, the MLGs, the CEOs, the Apexes, and SmashCon. So a lot of people, if you haven't played within the last 3.5 years, are wondering, okay, like, what exactly is Genesis? What's so exciting about it? Is it going to replace Apex? So I just want to give a little bit of a reason why people are so excited for those who have attended or who remember Genesis 1 or 2. So Genesis, to just as a quick summary, is a tournament series run by DBR and some folks in NorCal, so Sheridan, Dr. Z, and some other great helpers run that tournament. And Genesis 1 was probably the first national in a new era of Smash. So after MLG Vegas, we had about a 2 to 3 year void where we didn't really have any big nationals. Most of the tournaments at the time were, I would like to say, regionals. So like the top players would be there, so PC, Mewtwo King, and a few others, and then whoever was local to the region would probably go. But there was not like a single tournament where you would mark your calendar and say, hey, like, I have to go to this. And Genesis, from the get-go, did a really good job with branding, and so they always create the hype. And at the time, this was like the dead era of Melee in like 2008 because Brawl came out, and so they a lot of what kept Melee going in that year were content created by Homemade Waffles in Prague. So they would have these really exciting videos overlaid with like rap songs. They reignited commentary in matches. So there's always like a NorCal flavor when you look into Melee. NorCal has always played a big influence in terms of stylizing Melee and kind of quote unquote making it cool. I know that's a really big claim, but if you look at a lot of the roots of commentary, people will always go back to like Homemade Waffles and Phil and their trash talk and their flow. So they were the OG guys. And so also at this time, we had a bunch of people leaving Melee. There was kind of an exodus, mainly because Brawl came out, MLG stopped, and so PC, Court, Ken, Azin, and a bunch of these other players pretty much went on hiatus, and there were a bunch of new players on the rise, creating a lot of debate and a lot of like questions. So who was the best region was a big one, and that's what reignited crews at Genesis, was the fact that we never knew, and we had a lot of trash talk going on, which is something we don't really have today. It's a lot of people, for example, were wondering which area had the best Falcon. Was it Darkring from the Midwest? Was it Hax and Scarf from East Coast? Was it Silent Spectre from the West Coast? And so that was like one big question, and then we wanted to know, like, if you put like the people on the rise in the same room and they played each other in a tournament, who would come out to be the best. So you had like people like J-Man, Hax, G Money, Alucard, and all those people from Tri-State who were getting really good from there. The South had a lot of good players like Lamb Chops, Linguini, Rock Rock, Hungry Box, the Shiz Wiz, and a lot of these good players. West Coast, was considered not as good at the time, but they had a lot of up-and-comers like Lovage, Falcomus, Lunin, Silent Spectre, and of course Mango. And so nobody really knew because we never compared them. There was a lot of hype, a lot of drama, and a lot of trash talk. And if you've watched the first crew battle from Genesis, there was so much excitement, and it's really hard to really explain just how much the rivalry was there. It's something that's kind of missing today, because I think everybody's so buddy and international. But that was actually huge back then, was wondering which coast was better. And then we had the classic questions, like between Mango and Mewtwo King, who's better? Is Mango on a mini run? Is it a fluke? Is it Jigglypuff? Nobody really knew. West Coast knew. We thought that Mango was just going to dominate Mewtwo King like he always does. And then, aside from that, we had a bunch of international players. Hugs made a joke. Well, not really a joke. A quote-unquote prediction that was as bad as Tafokin's prediction that that Armada, this beast from Sweden, was going to finish 17th in the bracket. And there's a lot of mystery there, so this is the first time that Armada and Aniolis came to the U.S. There were a bunch of other people that came on a trip as well. And so Genesis, remains a big part of people's hearts because it was the first to do many things. I think a lot of people, can testify that was their first national. It was a fantastic experience, and it's what got them hooked to nationals. Just the overall, everybody is together in the same venue, everybody's together in the same hotel. It really was exciting just to see that you could walk down and see Florida in one room, you could see SoCal in another. You can go in this room and see NorCal, you can go in this room and see Tri-State, you can go to the jacuzzi pool, and it was the first time we really had that intimate bonding experience for, after the tournament, during the tournament, and even before the tournament. Go to Denny's as a group of 50 people and just raid them, have an In-N-Out burger for the first time. And so just from that alone, I know that the hotel venue thing is a lot more commonplace now, but Genesis was the first to kind of ignite that camaraderie kind of feeling that was lost for a really long time. And then, of course, the gameplay itself. Bobak will always tell you that Genesis was not a well-run tournament. It was an okay-run tournament. I'm actually kind of a little scared, a little intimidated to see how they will run, because I feel that some people may have too much nostalgia in towards it. It wasn't really a great tournament. They ran an 128-man bracket. They didn't have a lot of setups, at least at Genesis 1. Fortunately, there are some remedies towards that. But just for the fact that the quality of the sets, the hype, just being there, creates a lot of memories for people. This was the first time that Armada went on a really amazing run, surprising many set after set, beating Lunin, Lucky, the Shizwiz, Mutaking, and Mango in winners before he loses in grand finals. So really exciting experience, just to see you really root for a person. The USA chants came out for the first time. Grand finals were amazing, and even if the tournament wasn't really the best logistically run tournament, I think people leave with that excitement of all the lights being turned off, most of the setups being turned off, and really rooting as one giant audience and being a part of the experience. Although that's commonplace now, this Genesis was the first tournament for a lot of people. And I think overall, a lot of what NorCal really does really well is they generate hype. So even if you saw that 30-second trailer of just Genesis, the logo, just spinning, they know how to create graphics. They know what makes people excited. And last of all, this is a tournament that is run in the winter that is not in the freezing cold of New Jersey. So that's always exciting. To be in California where it's sunny, it might rain a little bit, but I think that's another reason why people are excited. It's okay, this could be the winter major, and maybe Super Smash Con is the East Coast summer major where the temperature makes a lot more sense. And so this is a lot of the reasons why people get really excited for Genesis. Even the Europeans are excited for it. I'm excited for it, and that's why I'm going to be there personally, and that's why why you guys should go too.